Live from KWQC TV6 in Davenport, this is exclusive coverage of the 45th Annual Quad City Times Big 7 Road Race. Here now are your hosts, Tony Revis, Tom Cornelis, and Kevin Phelps.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 45th running of the Quad City Times Big 7 Road Race. A beautiful day here at Davenport, Iowa. Nice morning for a little 7-mile jog up and down the hills of Davenport along the Mississippi River, which is why we called it the Big 7. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Cornelis. Tony Revis back with us once again. Kevin Phelps is here. And, Kevin, we're going to give you credit for the weather because it's a beautiful, breezy morning.
It is. You know, the breeziest morning that we've had for a Bix since 2003. And fittingly enough, that same year, southwest winds at about 10 to 15. That's exactly what we have going on this morning. That happened to be the fourth of John Career's 5 Big 7 championships.
No, it's a wonderful day for running, and that's it is. You got to get lucky on the day, and we've got it. The temperature is nice. It's been a classic midsummer here in the Quad Cities this week. God bless the fact that this race wasn't a week ago, because it would have been brutal.
Oh, it would have been. Yeah.
We have lots of stories within the stories here, too, also on our pre-show. Of course, one of the stories, the big one, is the retirement of longtime race director Ed Froelich after 40 years. We'll be hearing from Fast Eddie a little bit later.
And we'll also introduce you to a man who's never missed a Bix. And this year, he's walking the 7-mile course, get this, on crutches.
Wow, it's just amazing. And I'll do a story from Africa where the running boom continues to spread worldwide. All right, we're looking forward to all those stories and more. Plus, as we mentioned, Ed Froelich is retiring after 40 years. He's been the straw that stirs the drink here with the Big 7 road race since he took over in 1980. He's added wrinkles throughout the years. And needless to say, it's going to be an exciting yet emotional exit for who we call Fast Eddie. And he's with Joey Danya down on the start line.
We are lucky.
We're blessed.
We have been blessed.
Ed Froelich is a people person.
I have a lot of best friends.
40 years ago, one phone call from one of those friends would change the course of Ed's life.
A friend of mine, his name was Tony Gott. He had been the race director for 2 years previous to me. And he just called me up one night and said he was tired of doing it. He couldn't deal with the city and it was too much for him and wanted to know if I'd do it. And I said, well, I'll do it a year.
1980 was Froelich's first Bix as race director.
In 1980, the United States boycotted the Olympic Games in Germany. And Bill Rogers had been the top marathoner in the world for 3 or 4 years previous to that. And Jim Schrader had the courage to call him up and ask him if he would come to the Big 7.
Bill came, and the race was forever changed.
It went from 1,500 to 4,000 to 7,000. It just exploded.
And each year, Ed kept coming back with new ideas along the way.
What I did when I took over, I wasn't trying to get runners. I said, let's get spectators. Athletes like to perform in front of people.
He kept adding things to the race to make it interesting, to make it inviting, to make it fun.
The Junior Bix, the Quick Bix, the Brady Street Sprints, and the Beat the Elite Runner were just some of Ed's ideas that made his vision come to fruition.
All these athletes are so excited because most races have nobody on the street, where we have 50,000 people out there. You have to go to Boston or New York or LA, big marathons where they have millions of people, to have more spectators at a road race than you do in Davenport.
As the race grew by the thousands,
I met all these wonderful people that have helped me.
More and more volunteers were needed.
You know, we started out, we might have maybe 100 volunteers. And now we have 115 committees with 5,000 volunteers. And I get to orchestrate all that.
And when it comes to orchestrating,
He's the kind of guy, when he asks you something, you just can't say no to him. You know, and he makes you feel like he wants you to do that. You're good enough to do that.
Ed is a master conductor.
When we travel for different conferences and we say we work with the Quad City Times Big 7 and Ed Froelich, Boston Marathon, New York Marathon, London, Tokyo. They all know Ed.
You're a great leader. You are.
Ed's become friends with running legends like Bill Rogers and Joan Benoit Samuelson, who come back each and every year to run the Bics.
I just have this feeling Ed's still going to be part of the Big 7 at some level. So I can't imagine the Big 7 without Ed Froelich.
He was a creative, feel-it genius, you know. I believe Ed Froelich may be the longest serving and perhaps one of the most successful race directors in American history.
After 4 decades of leading the charge,
The main reason I'm walking away is all of my friends that have done this so many years. They refuse to give up until I give up.
it's not the elite athletes or the size of the race.
I go back to the people that have volunteered. You know, they've done all the hard work. I've been able to take all the glory.
It's the people Ed's met along the way that mean the most.
To have this relationship with all these different people that have helped us so long means everything.
And it's those people that will make sure Ed Froelich's legacy lives on forever at the Bics. In Davenport, Joey Danya, TV6 News.
All right, that's quite a story, and Ed is quite a story, needless to say. We wouldn't be here right now without Ed Froelich, and with the live telecast that we do now exclusively here on KWQC throughout the years, and it looks like Ed is ready to give us, well, some parting shots down there with Joey Danya.
Hey guys, yeah, what an honor it is to be standing here next to the one and only Ed Froelich. Ed, it's been 39 Bixes under your belt, one final race today. How emotional has this week been for you, and how emotional is today going to be?
Well, what's wonderful about it is this great weather. It's a good way to go out. You know, we started out on a rainy day 40 years ago, and today it's just beautiful. It's going to be very exciting.
And they say time flies when you're having fun. How fun have the last 40 years been? And does it feel like it's been 40 years?
Well, I was talking to my wife, Sandy, yesterday, and I said, well, you know, now that we're getting out of Bix, you think the years won't go by as fast, because it was just one Bix after another and 40 years later. But we're looking forward to having this be the last one. I want to wish the best luck to Michelle Juring, who's taken over for me. And I know that Bix will stay strong. The community loves it. And when everybody sees all the spectators out on that course, that's because it's a premier event in Davenport.
Ed, we can't say enough about what you've done for this race and this community. What can you say about what this race has meant to you through the years?
Well, you know, I've been the guy that's got all the credit. I'm the one who gets to smile and tell everybody what a wonderful job they did. But it's all the volunteers. It's the city of Davenport. The city of Davenport has done an outstanding job every year of securing the streets. When we had the scare a few years ago, we had to pick up the security. If you'll notice, there's cement trucks at every tough intersection. This is really well done by the city of Davenport.
This race won't feel the same without you. What do you think the future will hold for you in terms of your involvement in the Bix and what the Bix will be like for you moving forward?
Well, I got to tell you, Michelle Juring, who's taken over for me, we were standing at watching the Brady Street Sprints, and I was so excited. I love the Brady Street Sprints. I went over to her and I said, I'm so excited with this. I'm not going anywhere. You're fired. But no, I was just kidding with her. But I love this. This is my passion. This is my wife's passion. We're going to miss it, but it's time to go.
Thanks so much, Ed. It's been such a pleasure. Enjoy your retirement.
Thank you very much.
That is Ed Froelich, race director for the Quad City Times Big 7. One final time today, guys. We'll send it back up to you.
All right, Joey, thank you very much. Yeah, but you know, tough act to follow. Ed is not the only one who's doing a swan song at the 45th Bix. Our own TC, Tom Cornelis, 40 and done in the broadcast booth, and it's been a pleasure for me for 28 of those years, but we got another one to go before we say goodbye. So great job, TC. You're welcome.
6's exclusive coverage of the Quad City Times Big 7 Road Race is brought to you by your local Buick GMC dealers and Grand Appliance and TV.
Welcome back to our pre-show, 45th running of the Quad City Times Big 7 Road Race. Tom Cornelis, Tony Revis, Kevin Phelps with you as the runners are beginning to assemble down at the start line. And we're getting ready to go. More ways than one, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the countdown is underway.
Yeah, and a beautiful morning for it. And, of course, as we teased just before the break, one of our longtime friends here, TC, last Big 7 road race. We're happy to have you here, obviously. I want to thank you, first off, for allowing me to sit up here, but thank you for also with all the work that you and Ed did for this event to help it grow to what it is today.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. You guys felt like a real partnership, too, in making it. I mean, this broadcast is such an important part of extending the reach of the Big 7. I mean, not just around the Quad Cities, but nationally on the live stream. And so people all over the world in the running community are paying attention to what happens on the streets of Davenport here today. And the manner in which you've presented this over the years has just been special. I get to work at events all over the country, and you're as good as it gets, TC, absolutely. And the people in the Quad Cities have been lucky to have you for so long.
Thank you much. As I say, it's been a great run.
For 4 decades,
And we are off.
one voice
32:47, the official time. How about a kiss? Oh, how about that?
has been a staple of the Bics.
Tom Cornelis with you, just a few minutes away from race time.
Tom Cornelis has been broadcasting the Bics since 1980.
You don't know what's going to happen. It's not really scripted. Somebody's going to, somebody you never heard of is going to lead for a while. Somebody,
As the Bics got bigger and bigger,
Tom knows all the personality in the community, and that was very important, that we had somebody that embraces the community.
Cornelis was there year after year.
I never get tired of the start of the race. When you see that, I call it like a Chinese dragon, bobbing and weaving its way up the hill. It's just massive humanity. And they all have smiles on their faces. They're all waving, hollering.
Without TC,
nobody does it better.
It's called the Big 7. That's because it's...
the broadcast won't be the same.
He is such a nice guy. I mean, just so personal, so quick-witted.
You can see TC's got a fan club around here. Been doing this, obviously, 39 years, so of course.
I think they're both here today.
Cornelis knows
Let the event and the athletes tell the story.
the show will go on.
It's not about you. I've always felt, I'm not one of these that was into participation sportscasting. I said it's about the athlete, it's about the team.
While this may be his last broadcast,
40 years is a lot, and it's time to. And I'll be here somewhere. I'm sure I'll be on a Bics committee. I'll probably be handing out cups of water.
it won't be his final Bics.
Let's keep our great race great. Participate.
That's the name of the game.
No, absolutely. And the fans have just kept on coming. It's one of the things like in golf, the baby boom generation sort of aged out of golf, and they're having a hard time replacing them. But the running boom continues to grow because it's always a sport for everybody.
All right, Joey, how's it look down there?
Well, TC, I just wanted to say that it's been such an honor and a privilege getting to work with you on this broadcast. There's certain sportscasters that I look up to and aspire to be like, and you are certainly at the top of that list, TC. This race won't be the same without you on the broadcast, and I just want to say it's been such an honor and a privilege getting to do this with you the past few years, and really excited to get to do it with you one final time today, TC. Back to you, my friend.
Thank you, Joey. He read it just the way I wrote it. That's pretty good.
He's a pro.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, for first-time viewers, why do they call it the Big 7? Well, it's easy. It's 7 miles, and as Kevin, you've run it a few times. It's not an.
Put it all in perspective, you start with the Brady Street Hill. It's about 3/4 of a mile straight uphill, but the real beast is Kirkwood. You'll be going down it on the way into McClellan Heights, and then on the way back out, you got to run back up the hill. truth be told, for the total race, it's about 75 floors climbing up and down that each participant will be doing here today, on top of running 7 miles.
The grade up Brady Street is between 7 and 9%. That is like the Pyrenees or the Alps, sections of that for the Tour de France riders. That's the stiffness. And it's not the uphill at the first mile. It's that pounding downhill in the final mile. That'll get you as well.
Yeah, and it's always good to remember for anybody that's never run the race is once they get down to the bottom of Brady Street Hill, you still have about another half mile left to go. Remember, we saw the Beat the Elite runner kind of falter there a few years ago.
We've seen some lead exchanges in that final mile. And needless to say, we have international runners in this race for years. And Tony, you cover the international scene. You were recently over in Africa. Why don't you give us a heads up on that?
Absolutely. We're on to Kigali, Rwanda for the Kigali International Peace Marathon and Half Marathon. And do you think this course is hilly? I mean, that place is a bear.
We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to our Big 7 pre-race show. Just about 10 minutes before we hear that starting gun. And as we mentioned, international runners have dominated this race since its inception, and many of the runners coming from Africa. Our own jet setter, Tony Revis, was just over in Rwanda with a unique report on a big race over there.
The Big 7 road race is famous for the Brady Street Hill and the series of climbs up and down Kirkwood Boulevard. But even Brady Street doesn't challenge runners like the Kigali Peace International Marathon. After all, we are in the country known as the nation of 1,000 hills. Runners came from all over Africa and beyond for the 15th Kigali International Peace Marathon, Half Marathon, and Fun Run 10K. An ideal day greeted the 2,000 fun runners, 62 degrees Fahrenheit, 2,000 people in attendance at Amahoro National Stadium. The Rwanda government sports development policy began in 2012 and embraced sports as a way to bring people together, improve national pride and health. And spirits were high as the event got underway. Every finisher received a medal and a day's worth of entertainment. Next up, the half marathon and full marathon preparing to take off. The Kigali International Peace Marathon course records are 2:14:56 for men, 2:38 for women, a testimony to how challenging the layout is. The men's marathon pack stayed in play a long way. No one wanted to attack the hills. Finally, the man in orange, Philip Kiplimo of Uganda, took the race in hand and won the title in 2 hours, 20 minutes, 21 seconds. Women's winner took less time to develop her winning margin. Rebecca Career Chepchirchir of Kenya won it in 2:41:28. That's some 12 minutes slower than her own personal best. And she felt every step of the way on a warming Rwandan afternoon. In the end, all the day's podium placers were saluted by the Minister of Sport. Athletes from 55 nations competed in this year's Kigali International Peace Marathon and Half Marathon as Rwanda continues to market itself as the center for sport throughout Africa. Reporting on the International Running Tour for the Big 7 Road Race, I'm Tony Revis.
Oh, great story, Tony.
No, it's what we take for granted here, the excellence in the production of the Big 7 road race. They're just learning, getting their footing in Africa, but it's great to see the sport continue to spread worldwide. And rather than just international runners coming to America, we're going to hope to see Americans go to the rest of the world where running events are really beginning to spread.
All right. Well, 1975 was the first BIX race. I remember looking around. I found 84 guys on a street corner starting that race. We have 4 guys who've run in every one. And one has a little, he's got a little hitch in his get-along right now, but we're going to see why. He's going to keep that tradition going right after this. Down at the starting line, the colors being presented. Ed Froelich looking at the presentation one last time. Always impressive. As we mentioned, 4 guys have run this race every year since '75. One, though, has a little handicap this year. He's the Rock Island track coach, Ed Lillis. Scooby Mageza has the story.
Since the very first Big 7, Ed Lillis has ran every single race.
It started with 84 of us in 1975.
And now, his love for the Big 7 has only grown to become what he calls a part of his life.
It got started and it was fun and there was no reason to stop. And all of a sudden, 45 years later, here we are.
Although, this year, Ed almost had to stop. After having hip replacement surgery just 3 months ago, being able to run, let alone walk, would prove to be a challenge.
I wasn't sure when it first happened that it might be devastating. But after about a month of just like rest and recuperation, I was able to start doing things.
And those things would lead to his training, which is why this year, Ed Lillis plans to run the Big 7 on crutches.
At first, I didn't know if I could even think about it. But then as I got better and felt better, I thought, hey, why not? I can do this.
So in the days leading to the Bigs, Ed's been walking or crutching and making sure his body is ready to handle the Big 7 course.
Fast or slow, a mile is still a mile. So I'm definitely in the slows category right now, but it's still a mile. In this case, it's 7.
But still, seeing a guy walking long distances on crutches can definitely draw some worry from spectators walking by.
Hey, guys.
Okay.
I'm good, thank you. I know, I love those kind of expressions of concern. Actually, it seems like, hey, are you all right? But yeah, they're good people.
Ed loves being active, so if there's any way he can challenge himself to be better prepared for the race, he's doing it.
Shall I try and speed up and catch the walk? You only got 10 whole seconds to get across the street. Should make it. I broke the tape.
So when Ed actually breaks a tape on Saturday, he's already envisioned of how that special moment will be like.
I do picture kind of a celebration with my sons and their wives and a good friend coming down from Appleton, Wisconsin to be with me too. As added bonuses, it's my daughter's birthday on Saturday as well, and my wife and my wedding anniversary on Saturday as well. So everything is happening, and hopefully it's all a celebration.
It should be. I've known Ed Lillis for a long time. He's been the track coach at Rocky and very successful. He's going to make it. I know he's going to make it.
We can relate to him, believe me. You and I can.
Yes, we can. All right. Race time's almost here. We'll be back for the start in just a minute.
Live from KWQC TV6 in Davenport, this is exclusive coverage of the 45th Annual Quad City Times Big 7 Road Race. Here now are your hosts, Tony Revis, Tom Cornelis, and Kevin Phelps.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 45th running of the Quad City Times Big 7 Road Race. We are ready to go. I'm Tom Cornelis. With me once again, our expert commentator, Tony Revis. KWQC Zone, Kevin Phelps. The motorcade is started, Motorcycle Honor Guard. Nice breeze coming up this morning, and Kevin, that could be a nice tailwind.
Yeah, nice tailwind coming up Brady Street Hill. The breeziest morning that we've had for a Big 7 with those winds from the southwest since 2003. So Tony and I were talking in the break here. That might actually help him coming back down the hill.
No, absolutely. And then it'll be sort of a crosswind and washed out by all the trees and houses along Kirkwood. So the breeze is perfect. It's cool you down when you need it, a tailwind when you need it, a head breeze when it actually does some work as well. Let's see how it plays out.
All right, we've had the national anthem play. The elite runners have been introduced. And
there we go.
Our race director, retiring race director, Fast Eddie Froelich, is getting ready to fire that starting gun for the final time.
And I'm telling you, the elite fields are full of newbies here at the Big 7.
One of the more balanced fields, I think, Tony, especially because of the unknown factor.
Absolutely. And we do have a very strong women's field, very strong. And the second fastest woman of all time, Caroline Chepkoech, is also here today. So she's got the experience on the women's side, but she's got some real tough competitors she'll have to contend with.
Guns are up.
Guns are up. Also keep in mind we have our Beat the Elite runner out about 4 miles into the course, Mallory Espy. We'll be keeping an eye on her if she can beat the elite runners to the finish line.
Should be starting at Kirkwood and Jersey Ridge.
And the Isle Casino is, of course, sponsoring that, and that's a $2,500 bonus. And, of course, everyone wants to see her win that race. That's Phil Stewart on the mic down at the start line, longtime PA announcer here at the Big 7 and race director of his own Cherry Blossom 10-miler in Washington, D.C. every March.
And he not only does the start line, he's at the finish line, and he'll stay there till the last runner comes through to hear their name or number mentioned.
Yeah, Phil he ran the 1976 Olympic Trials Marathon, so he was quite a runner himself.
There's Mallory Espy, a fine runner, and as Ed said at one of the recent dinners, the first time the elite runner hasn't tried to sandbag him on time. She's been very honest, very open, and she's going to run about 4 miles into the race.
And she's got the look of a tough competitor, getting herself just sort of settled in.
Where's she starting on Kirkwood?
Jersey Ridge and Kirkwood.
Okay.
So she's going to take off and run right up the hill on Middle Road into McClellan Boulevard. So a little ahead of the halfway point.
Okay. Well, she'll have a little uphill climb for starters. All right, we're getting ready. And we're off. And running. 45th edition of the Quad City Times Big 7 Road Race, and there's Mallory Espy off as well.
And just like the professionals out front for the regular race, Mallory has to make sure she doesn't go out and get too excited at the beginning, so to hold her horses a little bit. The great Frank Shorter, who was second to Bill Rogers in this race back in 1981, he was always saying you want to go out at a pace you think you can handle the whole way, and then back off just a little bit. That's the best way of tactically going about the business.
And we always see some rabbits want to get on camera early in the race, but also with so many newcomers to the race among the elite, Tony, their strategy is going to be in question here to see who wants to start strong, who wants to pace themselves early.
And I think everyone is new to this dance, and they don't know how the music plays out on this course. So I don't think we're going to see a very aggressive race until the action starts on the way back up Kirkwood. And that's just by the pace of it right now. You can tell they're not attacking.
Not pushing too hard right now, right?
Who would you say are some of the names we're going to be keeping an eye on?
Gabriel Gay from Tanzania. He won the Utica Boilermaker 15K just 2 weeks ago. And he was also setting a personal best, sub 28 minutes at the July 4th Peachtree Road Race down in Atlanta. So he's somebody who's coming in hot.
There goes the pace car. Donnie Wahoo Watchell in the passenger seat. And here we go. Early on, 380, top local runner Spencer Smith, who was the Greg Newell Award winner last year with the early pack. Who do you like in the women, Kevin?
We kind of highlighted it here a few minutes ago, but Caroline Chepkoech, she finished second in 2016, only by 2 seconds, but that's because Mary Katani set the course record for the women.
Right, that was the fastest time ever. That was 5:03 per mile pace for women. Ooh. The men's course record, 31:52, back in 1998 by John Career, five-time champion. He took the course record because he won by 0.53 seconds, not even half a second, over Mark Yadic of Kenya, and that's 4:33 per mile pace. And that only a couple of guys have ever broken 32 minutes on this course. Benson Masha did it back in 1994 as well. But we have to look at Margaret Murakuri from Kenya. She's the 2018 and 2012 BICS champion, but she's coming in off a second-place finisher at the Cooper River Bridge 10K, third at Phil Stewart's Cherry Blossom 10-miler earlier this year. So I'm not sure if she's quite on the top of her game. And then Joycelyn Kosgei from Kenya. She is the world record holder for the half marathon, having run 64 minutes and 51 seconds. That's a guy's time. And she broke the world record at 10K, 15K, and 20K en route to the half marathon. So she is just an absolute murderer. The question is, how much of her full self is she out there today? The only race we've seen a result on, she won the New York City half marathon earlier this year, but it was very, very cold in March. What she got here today. She's short, she's powerful, very short hair, and when she's on, she's just a powerhouse. We'll see how it plays out. There's a lot to be said for a lot of different competitors.
Stephen Sambu of Kenya
is absolutely
the
someone
pace setter and one to keep an eye on.
Stephen Sambu is a 4-time Falmouth Road Race champion on Cape Cod. So that tells you something. He was 4th at Utica 2 weeks ago. He was 7th at Atlanta on July 4th. Now, Sambu is better than that. So I saw him yesterday at the over at St. Ambrose at the pre-race party, and I said, 7th in Peachtree and 4th at Utica. Stephen, that's not you. Come on, we got to show your stuff here at the Big 7. So I'm expecting better things from Stephen Sambu because he's been a many-time winner on tour.
Runners continuing, runners and walkers coming up the hill, always a great sight. And you see this massive humanity bobbing and weaving its way up Brady Street, all with smiles on their faces. The adrenaline
right now,
is going.
Just about to make the turn onto Kirkwood there with the lead pack. So
31 Samson Gezahai from Eritrea. He's got a 28-26 10K personal best. He was 5th at the Big Beta Breakers 12K out in San Francisco in May, and 12th at the Boulder 10K on Memorial Day.
As we've seen so often through the years, a big lead pack in that first mile.
And again, this is where experience on this race course, when you're on the track, every track, some tracks are faster than others, but for the most part, it's all just flat. Take a left-hand turn, keep taking left-hand turns until there's a stop line. But on this road race course, especially the Big 7, there's so many undulations, some small, some big downhills, some slight rolling hills. You really have to think your way around this course, and you haven't been on it before. You don't want to attack these early miles.
No, especially because Kirkwood going to the McClellan Heights is actually downhill. So you could really burn yourself out. When you come back, you're running back uphill. So.
There's the turnaround, and it's just off the corner of State and McClellan. You sort of do a little wave at the river. You turn around and come back up. And I'm telling you, that next stretch, that 4th mile, is a brute. I mean, I don't know who mows those lawns and those houses up on the right-hand side, because they're beautiful, but boy, those are steep. Now, the big tall guy on the left of the screen, second in on the right, is Gabriel Gay from Tanzania, the tall man, and he is definitely one of the favorites in the race. But look at him, stretched all the way across the road. The first mile, 5:15. So that was right in line with last year's 5:18, but nowhere near the 4:45 they ran back in the 1990s. So out slow.
We're a minute and a half into the Big 7. We'll take a break and be right back.